So we are gathering here to have our final lecture this term because next time on Monday you're going to have a final test or in Moodle, I guess, or maybe in your Lichny cabinet servers. So I'm still in doubts concerning the material, just whether it should be in Moodle or in some other resource. But of course, I'm sure to let you know. And our final lecture today is devoted to, as you see from the presentation, translating of some new coinages. That is, we have to discuss here the differences between English and Russian word building. So these are things that we are partially discussed probably in some in some of the other courses, but we have to have a whole system of this. So let us start. And one of the formal differences between the English and Russian languages causing semantic difficulties in understanding and comprehension of the text is the differences in word building tendencies. So you see, now we have very different languages, and of course they are different, and that is why these differences in word building should be focused on. So, and English words tend to be more monophonic, that is with one morpheme only, whereas Russian has plenty of two or more morpheme words, and this discrepancy, this difference between various kinds of word building processes in the two languages should be taken into account and should be discussed further, because there are some most important of them, I mean the most important differences, and we have to discuss them in full. And of course some ways of dealing with them in our translation. So first of all, we have to deal with compounds. What is meant? Now, of course, we should give the definition of a compound, and it is a unit of vocabulary which consists of more than one lexical stem functioning as a single item with its own meaning and grammar. And here we may give the examples like in Russian солнцестояние, водонепроницаемый. So these are all compounds, or in English we have second-hand, water bike, and so on and so forth. And compounds, of course, they exist in the two languages, but they are comparatively predominant in English, where compounds are found not only among nouns and adjectives, but also among verbs. That is less common than in Russian. For instance, among verbs, we have the following examples like to ill use, or as an adverb, we may have the adverb like cross legs. And of course, English compounds are formed by joining directly two or more stems. And the most common ones, of course, they are, and you know them pretty well, like 2-year-old, or chewing gum, or widespread, earthquake, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, we can't say that spelling may help us just to recognize and see to these very compounds, because this is not a true to fact criterion, so to say, just to single a compound. And the parts of the compound may be linked differently. They may be linked by a hyphen. So you see it in the presentation by a hyphen, yes, and for instance, a firelight, or it may be without any space like moonlight. All these words may go together like candle, light. So two separate words. But of course, we treat them in translation and in a text, yes, like a single compound. And of course, the American English uh, uses fewer hyphens than British English does. That is, in the American English, we don't have very many hyphens, like diffusive, yes. And our, for example, we have in American English, we have the word combination, and this is consequently a compound like ego wall. So, and I will put it down in the chat like ego, no, sorry, ego wall. Yeah, that's the compound, and it means a wall with framed words, diplomas, pictures of a person with famous people. So these go walls, so we are very often to put on our walls, yes. But you see, this is a compound as well. And even in Russian, we don't have such a correspondence if we come to think about it. Speaking about the Russian language, in Russian, stems are mostly joined by a linking vowel, and we know it from school, like пароход, дико растущий, там, не знаю, кораблестроение, или кораблекрушение. And in English, compound may also have, but not very often, a linking element, but it is mostly common the consonant S, like sportsman, spokesman, statesman, and some vowels like washermat, I know, sportsarama, and so on and so forth. And of course, these cases belong rather to stem reduction than to stem compositions. So that is the stem or the root is shortened this time. For the English language, you may say that it is quite typical for them to make a compound out of a phrase. With subordinate links between elements like son-in-law, mother-in-law, jack of all trades. So if you remember, all these words are written with the hyphens, with a hyphen, yeah, or day to day, and so on and so forth, or hide and seek, all these things like that. It is not so usual in Russian, where we have only something like научно-технический, yes, spelled with a hyphen and practically all. In English, we even have clauses like yes. In the presentation, the baby was 8 months old, and he was at the crawling stage, and the looking about stage, and the putting things into his mouth stage. Yes, you see, and of course, from the point of view of translation, we are sure to have some difficulties. Yes, with these things, this is, of course, rather unfortunate, yes, for us, but nonetheless, we have to deal with them somehow. The proposed ways are as follows. To translate these new compounds, especially the ones which are not included in the dictionary, we should analyze syntactic relations between compound elements and their meanings. And of course, these relations may be different, and they run as follows. So first of all, we may have and witness predicate relations. That is, the relations to subject and verb, like earthquake, that is the earth quakes, Yes, the head aches. Снегопад, снег падает. Yes, so these are predicate relations. Further, we have object relations like this, that is a verb to object, like sightseeing, or водомер, or scarecrow, and something. This is it. Then we have attribute relations. Sorry, like чернозем, голубоглазый in Russian, and goldfish in English. And adverbial relations like much improved, night flying, вышеупомянутый. So you see, these words are very common in the two languages, and of course we should know how to deal with them, not just to find the um, English or Russian correspondence in a dictionary, but this is rather specific because further we are going to, and probably at the end of the lecture, I would give you some of the variants that have appeared nowadays, yes, in connection with the present time situation. And they are not only neologisms, they are new coinages in the language, and they may be considered as so as compounds and new compounds that are should be known to, that they should they and of course these new coinages should be familiar to the other audience, I mean to the target audience, and uh, we are always looking for means of dealing with such things. So further, when the meaning and grammatical relations of compound elements are clear, it is possible to look for a proper means of translation. And of course, there may be other compounds. Yes, we may also find these other compounds in the target languages, like taxpayer, налогоплательщик, or law-abiding, законопослушный. So you see, законопослушный, yes, a compound in the Russian language. Then we may resort to analogues like hangman, палач, or homesick, ностальгический, or child care, детский сад, or anything. Then we may resort to also calc translation, like breathtaking, дух захватывающий или захватывающий дыхание, water bike, водный мотоцикл, and compounds with object and adverbial relations between the elements are often translated with the reversed word order. And we have, for instance, the compound tax-free with a hyphen, if you remember. And in translation, we have свободный от налогов. So you see, we are not going from left to right, but from right to left. This is just the reverted word order. Or far advanced, продвинутый вперед, homegrown vegetables, овощи, выращенные дома. Then we may have half calc as well, like pop star, pop звезда. So one of the word is translated, the other is transliterated. And of course, transcription and transliteration may be also used in this case, respect, and this technique is normally employed when a word denoting a piece of reality is borrowed into the target language, and consequently we have in Russian porn, we have video business, we have audio player, this is it. Of course, we may also resort to explication or extension, like fly paper, липкая лента от мух, or a gravity challenged, неспособный высоко прыгать. And at last, we may use to the substitution of one or both of the components, like пылесос, vacuum cleaner, and blackboard, and воздушная кукуруза, like popcorn, We may also say yes. We may resort to transcription. Even yes, even transliteration, I would say, and substitution as well. And it is important that a translator uses a standard word and sometimes even fixed in a dictionary, right? I mean, in the target language culture. And of course, it is of particular significance in translating terms and other words. So another type of word building uh, is conversion, that is изменение частей речи. And again, dealing with the definition of this phenomenon, we should say that conversion is transferring a word from one part of speech into another, but without using any affixes. Otherwise, it is called affixation, and we are going to speak about it later. So we don't use any affixes and suffixes here. And this way of building a new words is the most typical in English as compared with Russian. And we have different directions of conversion. Just let me see. Different directions of conversion. So yeah, you are given them in the presentation. So I guess that we have verbs that come from nouns like to word, to bicycle, then vice versa. We may have a try, a drive, a must, then an adjective may become a noun like around, a monthly, and so on. Then the adjective may be changed to a verb, to empty, to better, to come down. So you see, we are going to systematize your knowledge, yes, of the English language, because mostly, or you know these words, but we sometimes don't think of them as the examples of conversion in the English language, and some cases of word building are neglected, unfortunately. So this lecture is for you just to know them better. Further, we may change an adverb to noun, like yesterday was my birthday, right? Or the structural word may be converted to a noun. And pros and cons, we have ifs and buts, and so on. Then affix to noun as well, like ologies, isms, like ideologism or ideology, like archaisms, and so on. And the grammatical word may change to a verb, like to down, yes, for instance, or to up and do it, yes. So you see quite a number of cases. So, or sometimes they are not customary for us, but nonetheless. And compound words and phrases, they also may be converted. And in English, we may say to dog's ears, or to dog's ears, yes, as a verb, like загибать уголки страниц, we say, right? Or would be president. And then We may also give such examples like free-for-all, like соревнования, дискуссия, в которых может участвовать любой. And it is also written with hyphens, yes, free-for-all. Or we have sit-ups, like приседания. So you see, here we have compounding, but these words are formed with the help of conversion, that is, changing one part of speech into another. And also we have root conversion that takes place in Russian too. Usually it is accompanied by word building processes. For instance, we have in Russian like круглый, круг, кругом, вокруг, округлять. То есть это все, что мы, в общем-то, со школы знаем. Вот эти. So these are stem reductions, stem affixations, and so on. Of course, it should be kept in mind that not all the meanings of a word are carried through the derivative form. That is why we should, as translators, we should be very careful about the equivalents. For example, the noun paper has several equivalents. Of course, we know them, like бумага, газета, and paper, maybe научная работа. However, the verb to paper, yes, refers not only to the first of this, which is manifested in its collocation. And in the presentation, I gave you this example, like lecturers and editors may paper their rooms. And the only meaning that is realized through the verb here is преподаватели и редакторы могут оклеивать свои комнаты обоями. И все. Других вариантов перевода глагола paper не существует. And consequently, we may say that the verb to paper has no equivalent correlating with the second and third meanings of the noun. And the converted words with metaphorical meaning may be translated with the help of a simile also. For instance, enjoy your food, don't just wolf it down. Наслаждайся, приятного тебе аппетита, но не набрасывайся на еду, как волк. So you see, this is a strict simile here. Здесь у нас четко идет сравнение. Yes, yes, не набрасывайся, как волк. Then we also have the means of dealing with these coinages, and translating converted coinages requires mostly addition and extension, because we can't just translate word for word, as we say, and we should explain the meanings of the English words. For example, for the first 10 years of their marriage, the Bacons had holidayed in Bournemouth because their parents had always done so. So you see, this very coinage is in the predicate, like had holidayed. We have holiday as a common noun, and we have the verb this time to holiday. And in translation, we have something like первые 10 лет совместной жизни супруги такие-то проводили отпуск в Бормунте, поскольку там всегда отдыхали их родители. And substituting parts of speech and restructuring of the sentence are often typical of utterances with converted words. Like, for those who still prefer the traditional at-home office party, there are a number of do's and don'ts. Для тех, кто до сих пор предпочитает устраивать торжества по-домашнему на рабочем месте, следует напомнить несколько правил о том, что можно, а чего делать нельзя. То есть здесь у нас, видите, тоже идет тот же самый описательный перевод, descriptive translation, or in other words, we may say that it is addition and extension of meaning. Further, other word building types, and it is affixation this time. Affixation is realized in these two languages with the help of prefixes and suffixes. So these are two main word building affixes, that is prefixes, as I said, that is affixes occurring before the root of a word, like re-team, miscommunication, reread, misheard, and so on. And in Russian we have пропутинский какой-нибудь, влет, взлет, and so on. Then we have suffixes which occur after the root, like teacher, wrangler, мамонтенок in Russian, домище. And English does not have affixes in large number, so they say that there is only about 50 common prefixes, including international ones like amoral, and pro-socialist, pro-government, autobiography, and so on. In Russian, affixation is, of course, predominant, and this is the most common way of making new words. And if we resort only to affixation, we have, you see in the presentation, like мять, измять, намять, помять, подмять, принять, размять. And of course, the corresponding words in English, they are all different. You see, like then, trample, beat, mash, and so on and so forth. Russian affixes, on the other hand, they prevail mostly with nouns and adjectives. And these new words in Russian are mostly formed with the help of suffixes. And the most productive and expressive suffixes, they are diminutive, like домик, преуменьшительные, да, уменьшительно-ласкательные. Then we have pejorative suffixes like домишко, and exaggerative, as I said, домище. And since English words are not regularly formed with expressive suffixes, here we face a problem, because these words are not often given in dictionaries. So you see, this is a trap here for a translator. And to find an equivalent word, it is necessary to look up for a derivative stem, just to find what is the main word here. And of course, in the text translated in English, such suffixes are often lost, since its preservation may have a not impact on the English-speaking receptor, because he's or she is not accustomed to such expressive suffixes. Yes, so if they are not used in the English language, they are not accustomed to them, you see. In translation, we have some neutral, I would say, dull words, like in Russian we have по небу ползли легкие розовые облачка, and in English we will have some light pink clouds crept slowly across the sky. No imagination, you see. But of course we may cope with such things differently. If a word with the subjective suffix has a connotational meaning, it should be rendered in translation, and this meaning may be compensated differently. And you see here some examples from military fiction. И до фронта ведь не дошла лошаденка-то. And in the English language, you have poor thing instead of лошаденка. In the second case, we have над лошаденкой over a bloody horse. So you see the translators are trying to replace such suffixes in the Russian language, and sometimes they are very, very successful. Sometimes when a Russian suffix bears an expressive connotation, it may be compensated for by expressive means such as a row of synonyms. For example, in Russian we have добренькими хотите быть, something of the question, yes. And in English, do you want to be kind and gentle? So you see two synonyms, but with the help of them, we are attempting to express this connotation you see in the original. Sometimes in translating from English into Russian, a translator should be aware of the possible usage of words with diminutive suffixes. And in Russian, they are proper when depicting discourse with a child, you see, when we show the small size of an object, and when we express some friendly relation towards an interlocutor. And sometimes we may use the substitutions, like Piglet looked up and said in his squeaky voice, "What about me?" And in translation we have Пятачок посмотрел и проговорил своим писклявым голоском. Sometimes we may use the adjective little as well, just to point to the need of a diminutive for suffix. For example, first they went to a little restaurant near some railroad tracks. Сперва они пошли, so you see in the original we have little restaurant. And in translation it is сперва они пошли в ресторанчик возле железной дороги. Or in the original, we may also have the word combination like withered little women. And in translation, две маленькие старушонки, because the adjective for here, this withered adjective, like or the attribute, it shows the attitude of the speaker to these very old women, and it shows and displays disrespect towards them. This is the point. That is why we use also some words displaying disregard, yes, towards them, and we say like старушонки. So, and one more thing that is connected with word building is, of course, the use of abbreviations. And, of course, abbreviation or shortening a word is one of the most again noticeable features of the English language, because we have very many examples from formal and informal registers, all in all, and they may be divided into several groups. I guess 3 of them. That is graphical abbreviations, and they are used only in writing. Such abbreviations like ext, like against, or F/B, like feedback, or some expected date of arrival, so you see in the presentation or anything, or we have ASAP, like as soon as possible, or a gap, as gorgeous as possible. So they are all graphical abbreviations. Further, we have also phonetic abbreviations. That is a non-standard way of writing common words, but based on their pronunciation. And we have you only with the letter U only, yes, or through. So you see the spelling, this particular one, or this phonetic abbreviation like OK, OK only. And of course, normally in translation, type of abbreviations is lost, so we do not render it. We just leave it as it is in the English language, and in translation we have their neutral correspondences. And finally, we also have lexical lexical abbreviations, including initialisms, like USA, BBC. We also have here acronyms like, I guess you know the brands like NATO, yes, UNESCO, AIDS, and so on. Here we may also have such things like clippings or parts of words which serve for the whole. For instance, ad for advertisement, phone for telephone, or e-book, or just let me put it down, e-barks, yes, that is for electronic money. Or we may also have here blends, so when two words go together, and instead of breakfast and lunch, we have brunch only. Instead of smoke, we have smoke and fog. Yes, Eurovision, we have Europe and television, and whatnot. So very many examples you see. And we may also have such examples, as I said, initialisms, yes, and these initialisms and acronyms may be rendered through transcription, like BBC. We just have these letters. Oh, sorry, just a minute, please. Yes, I have to answer. Sorry. So we spoke about initialisms and acronyms. Yes. So we use in translation we use some conventional techniques. Yes, as I said, it may be transcription, or it may be transliteration, or we may calc the abbreviated words, and we have like instead of AIDS we have speed, instead of USA we have США, and so on and so forth. And of course, to make the word clearer to the receptor, the abbreviation may be deciphered and explained if we have, for instance, TESOL, like TESOL, that is Международная ассоциация преподавателей английского языка как иностранного. So, yes, if you're interested, I may give you this, like TESOL, right? And sometimes, of course, dictionaries are used, and not only online dictionaries, but we may bear in mind the Dictionary of Wall Street acronyms and abbreviations, and some bilingual dictionaries like словари сокращений. So you see the very specific ones, but nonetheless, and a standard form of translation, if it exists, should be used by a translator. And it must be kept in mind that sometimes a standard form can require some shifts. For instance, if we have PRC, like People's Republic of China, we use some change, yes, of letters. And in Russian we have КНР, like Китайская Народная Республика. Blends, that is two words, they go together. If you remember my example concerning breakfast plus lunch, like brunch, yes. And these blends are either transferred into the target language through transcription or transliteration, and we have smog, yes, in Russian, or sometimes they are explained. For instance, we have coffee, Zilla, like coffee plus for a Godzilla. Yes, so you see quite very strong coffee, очень крепкий кофе. So you see here we have an explanation. And when we translate abbreviations, we should pay attention to the style of the text. And sometimes we should, we may have some very formal words, like, I don't know, some like, sorry, just тяжмаш, строй, or anything, or such words like телек, видик, from the spoken layer of the vocabulary. We also have to find these very correspondences in the languages, like tele, bike, video for vidik. So we should be very careful here. But of course, when we are talking about varieties of the English language, we should also be careful here, because for instance, informal adjective like dinky in British English means small and attractive, so no traps here. But in American English, it has an antonymous meaning, and too small but not very nice. And you see, the translation will be different in this case. Right, and of course, when we are talking, as I promised, there are a number of words that have appeared recently in connection with the COVID situation, and they are also the products of conversion, a fixation, a compounding. For example, such words. I just found them like we have BC. You see, uh, if you remember, this abbreviation was later deciphered like before Christ. Yes, Анна Домини and before Christ. То есть там 2000 лет до нашей эры. But now it is before COVID. You see, or when we have waist up dressing or waist up outfit, waist up dressing, it means that when we are before the monitor and we are in some Zoom session or Skype session as we are now. We are dressed formally, yes, but this is not the case for me, but nonetheless, so people are accustomed to this. So, or they are part of the garment that is visible via the screen is rather formal, and the other one is not. Yes, that is why we also have this compound like waist-up dressing or waist-up outfit, or you see different words appear in different words have appeared in different cultures in connection with the situation that we faced in spring. You see, we have lockdown in Britain. Yes, this is the word, and now you know the meaning. Then in the US, it is called differently. It is shelter in place. MCO in Malaysia, and we have movement control order, and circuit breaker in Singapore. So, or different realia appeared, and they are and they form another difficulty for us, yes, as translators, but nothing doing. And now you know the peculiarities of word building in the two languages. That is why I hope that it would be easier for you to work with such new coinages over the language. So we are through. So do you have any questions to me?
Можно не по теме вопрос, а по лекции.
Mhm.
То есть в понедельник у нас будет тест, а потом будет вести другой преподаватель, так? Или в понедельник тоже будет другой преподаватель?
Нет, в понедельник у нас с вами будет только тест.
Хорошо, хорошо.
То есть, ну, я точно, конечно, еще созвонюсь с Евгенией Александровной, но по плану было так. То есть, а она у вас лекцию будет читать уже через неделю, это получается 14 числа.
Угу, понятно.
Если что-то изменится, то я вам сообщу обязательно.
Ага. А тест будет, получается, во время пары, да, как вы тот раз говорили?
Да, да.
Угу, хорошо.
Чтобы все были на связи, чтобы не было такого, чтобы кто-то не мог написать, поэтому я заранее вас предупредила, чтобы исключить какие-то моменты такие. So more questions, please. Okay. If you don't have any questions, I guess that we are to meet next Monday, and I will tell you all the news. Yes, maybe via Skype again or via email. But get prepared. So as for our test, we are going to have all the materials that we have had with you during the lectures. So this is it.
Okay.
Yeah. See, yes, goodbye. Have a nice day and ask questions via email if you need.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.